don't mind the mess. I'm sorting. Yay! Yeah, so I cleaned up the room because we had friends coming over who might have wanted to see the Lego room, and they did. And so during that cleanup process, I found more bins that I can sort. Not that sorting is ever done. So I started sorting, and therefore I haven't made any videos in a week because I've been sorting. But a friend just called me up, well, texted me, and he didn't say make a video about this, but he said something that I said, hey, I'm gonna make a video about it for him and whoever else is interested, because we're gonna put on our historical hat. Not that I'm a Lego historian. If you want some really good information about Lego history, about almost literally anything about the Lego history, Gary Istock, he has a Facebook, Vintage Lego. I don't know the exact thing. You always forget to look it up, but I've known him for decades now, and he is the personal authority for me on all things historical and Lego, especially when it comes to sets, numbers, released countries, brochures. Like, seriously, he's just a wealth of information about the entire history of Lego. That actually doesn't work for the company. Unofficial guide to Lego. But my friend texted me, and he said, Dave, what's this piece? And I'm going, now again, I'm not the authority here. I just happen to have a lot of vintage pieces. And so this is the piece he was talking about. He sent me a picture. This piece is a very interesting piece. And if you come across used lots that has this piece in it, you're going to say, what is this piece? There's no studs on top. It's got the holes on the side. No holes on the front and back. For those of you who are my age around and might know this, this is a wheel brick. It is the standard wheel brick in the 70s, 60s and 70s was this one. Sometimes they came in white. The older ones came in white. They changed it to black. Just like the older tires came with gray rubber, and the newer ones came with black. Whatever. They changed it. Lego changes things. And I have all the whites and the gray tires over there. It doesn't matter. And they changed they had the basic wheel hub with the 4 studs on it, and they had the fancy wheel hubs that had spokes on it, and then they had the double size or triple size wheel that was, 4 studs diameter, blah, blah. But these are the ubiquitous, and in my collection, they are absolutely ubiquitous. I got like 3 of these totes full, just chock full of 2x4 bricks and tires from this era, because I grew up in that era, and I had a lot of my own, and then all the used lots that I got over the years. This is I can't get rid of them. That's the key thing. They changed the wheels after a fashion in the I think it was into the 80s, where you couldn't take the tires off. Okay, well, whatever, Lego, and then brilliantly, so that lasted a few years, and I thought this was just the dumbest thing. Not to say Lego's dumb, but those wheel sets were just, why? I mean, I get these wheel sets that they discontinued, because see this right here, this little metal piece right here, and I got like 1,000 of them over there on tires. This is literally in my history of Lego building and playing and having it around the house. This is the only piece that ever hurt me. This right here, it's the only piece, and it happened recently within the last 5 years. I've been 50, almost 60 years old. I've never been hurt by Lego before. And people say, oh, they always have those memes. Oh, you want to stop the burglars from breaking into your house when you're on vacation? Put Lego all over the floor. Doesn't do anything for me. I've walked across piles of Lego in life. I don't do it now because I'm really heavy and I'll break things. I've broken pieces by walking across them. I mean, they're usually, very, very brittle anyway, but the pain was negligible. This piece, this was a huge ow. Like, it almost broke the skin on my foot, and it left the indent, and it was red for days. It got me right in the perfect spot on my foot too. Like, it was really, really sensitive little spot. And I said, the ow. It's the first time Lego ever hurt me. But anyway, so these 2x4 wheel bricks were ubiquitous back in the 60s and 70s. Like, they came in almost literally every set. And then they changed it to the wheels couldn't come off, but they were only on the ends. Like this one, you can put them on the sides here, make smaller cars. Fantastic. And then they went to the Technic pin, which was brilliant, which is what they should have done when they got rid of these. Go straight to the Technic pin, because they were available at the time and they were using them. But anyway, that's the one thing that, again, so many missed opportunities for Lego. That one era of 3 or 4 years when the wheels couldn't come off, they were like, and that was for safety reasons, so the kids couldn't choke on them or whatever. But then they put the Technic pin on there, half pin, well, the full pin, but half of it. I thought those were brilliant. And then of course they're used everywhere now. But anyway, so he called me up. So this is the regular 2x4 brick for wheels that came out in the 70s. He showed me this piece. There's no studs on top, and there's no holes on the sides here. There's only holes on the end. Now, this piece came with this little tiny addition. This little tiny addition goes right into the slot, like that. See, it goes right down like that. So it just locks in there like that. So, and I have 2 of those. I probably have more, but I just dug 2 up for this video. This is unique in that I've never built a set using this piece. These came in used lots, and I keep on sporadically thinking, I'm gonna look that up on Bricklink and or Piron and figure out what that piece is, what set these came in, and build it. But doesn't matter. They are steering mechanisms. That's all you have to know. They are steering mechanisms. They're for steering. This is a steering wheel brick. And I will show you the other versions of the steering wheel brick. Is this guy. So you can see it still has the same 2 pins right there that this thing has. So this thing also has 2 pins. You can see that. And exactly the same spot. This thing has this little slot though in it that this pushes down to. And this guy, this post here is glued in to that slot. You can't remove this. It won't, you'll break it if you try to remove it. But it's exactly the same slot in there, because I've broken them before. It's exactly the same slot in there. And this piece is glued in there. And you say, hey, why is this big, huge pin sitting on a wheel brick? I'll tell you. And again, this is going back to my youth, my very, very earliest memories of Lego vehicles like this. And they still hold a good and dear part of my memory and heart and a love and appreciation for Lego. Because this is 70s. This is like late 60s. This is like before many of us were born. Not me. I was born. This is a ubiquitous truck. You go back in the 70s and the color and the slight changes and the fire trucks and whatever, but the vehicles look like this. Now this is a set that this is the trailer, and it had the steam shovel on it. I didn't bother pulling out the steam shovel, that's still in the bag. But this, and so you can see, take that off. There's the brick. There's the steering wheel brick with the pole. Now, again, some of these I have in my collection, these poles that fit into that slot. They came off. I don't know if they were supposed to, but they came off. These ones are all glued, and I couldn't find my one of the poles, but I think it's my collection's vast. But it's exactly the same slot as that guy there. So what happens is that with these 2 little nubs here are the brilliant factor of this thing. I mean, forget the steering was brilliant for 70s. I mean, you could steer it. So if you put this thing, they released a 5x6 plate and a 4x6 plate with holes in it. So you line them up, and then this piece here, this plate here, wonderful. And I'll get into that in a second. So you put them up, so all the holes line up. You can see through there, all the holes line up. And you put that through. This is me just 101ing you through this. And then you put this, mostly always a 1x2 with a logo on it on top. Because you can see the top of this thing is, it's not round. They cut off the edges on both sides. So it's almost rectangular with rounded edges. Because then it fits on a 1x2 brick, a 1x2 brick fix on that. And then when you turn this like that, that turns. And you're 6 years old and you're driving this thing across the floor. I mean, it's not RC, it's not radio controlled. It's you controlling it, but you get to drive this thing around the table. It was brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. But then Lego, once again, goes over and above, because I mentioned the two nubs earlier. So this thing, this little brick turns this thing back and forth. So you can see me turning it back and forth. But let's watch this. If I let it go, it self-centers itself. It's like just the steering mechanism alone, brilliant. And the kids would have just loved that. But the fact that they put a self-centering mechanism, no matter what you do, it self-centers. And that is done. Take all this stuff apart while I'm doing it. You can see this little piece of plastic right here. And it moves back and forth. And you can see the slot here. So a lot of these pieces, if you find one of these pieces in your collection, this piece is probably broken off, because it is very, very, there's a millimeter by millimeter square connector to this thing. I mean, it's molded that way, so it won't break. But if you push this thing too far, it's going to break off. It's going to snap off. But if you find them, and you can see it's like twang, twang. It's like one of those little things that stop the door from hitting the wall. And those little springy things. It flexes, and it goes between those two little nubs, and it keeps the wheel center when you're not touching it, when you're not steering it. And I thought, really? This is 1960s. This isn't like some engineer at Lego company in the 60s going, hey, we're going to make this new design so these vehicles can drive, and you can turn them. Oh, that's a good idea. But maybe we should take it a step farther. It's and I get, honestly, this is where the second he sent me that text in Messenger, I go, I want to talk about this, because this is my enthusiasm about the Lego company, that they just don't stop at the mundane. They just don't stop at the, it's okay. They don't stop at the, oh, that's really good. They go to the awesome level, whatever era they're in, whatever era they can do. Because again, when I was growing up, and my cousins were older than me, and so they had just basically, if you look at the 1950s and 60s sets, red and white brick and some trans clear. And the 1x1 round. So I go off another tangent. My cousin George is like 20 years older than me. And I used to go over to his house when I was a kid. And he had his collection of Lego. And it was fit in a little shoebox that they kept on a shelf down there. And I would go over there and play Lego with his Lego bricks, which was all the 50s and 60s Lego. So 2x2, 2x4 bricks. Not too many plates. Hardly any plates. They did have plates for like this stuff. He did have one of these, but not too many, greebling, or not too many fancy parts, like a lot of basic parts. But they did come with one by one, and I mentioned this before, way back in the day. And I go back into my ancient bricks of, here it is. These were his 1x1 round bricks. And you say, those are the same as ours now. No, first of all, it's all a stud. But second of all, there's no groove at the bottom. Look, there's zero groove at the bottom. These were his not these specific ones, but these are the 1x1 bricks that he would have had, round bricks. And he used to build villages and houses and towns and stuff. And these would be the people. And he would move them around when he was a little kid. He told me that. I remember vividly. I'm like 8 years old listening to my cousin George, who is now 28, I guess. I think he's about 20 years older than me. And he would tell me, because I'd be sitting there, maybe it's 18. No, I can't remember exactly. All my cousins are older than me, basically. And he would say that this is what he used to play with as people in his village. He didn't have minifigs in the 60s. So you build these nice villages out of regular brick and roofs and whatever, just using 2x2 and 2x4s and sometimes whatever else they had. And these were the people, and you have like little adventures and stuff like that. And then going, that's fantastic, right? But then also this thing came out in the 60s. And I'm going, wow. Now, like when I was a kid, I just took it as fact that Lego made cool stuff, right? It was just background noise. But when you actually look at it, and you look at the effort that Lego has continuously put in, I can gripe about the 2x4 wheel brick that the wheels couldn't come off, because I thought that was because I grew up on this stuff where they could come off. Oh, it's changing. I'm going to shake my fist in the general direction of Denmark. But in the end, they got to the point where they knocked it out of the park again by just using the pin, right? So there's been some from my consideration, missteps. But in the end, they knocked it out of the park. And they've been knocking it out of the park since before I was born. But anyway, so all that said, that's exactly what this brick is for. And that's what this piece is for, because this piece also, and again, I'm trying to figure out what this connects to, because, I mean, I could look it up, and I should actually look it up. But this, and if I show you this again, I'm going to take this apart. This, because you can see the two little notches. Let's see if I can see that. You can see the two little fingers in there. There are 3 fingers and 2 voids. This fits exactly into there, and it still self-censors itself. Now it is lower here than these tires here. So I'm trying to figure out, and it doesn't lock into that top hole. So obviously I'm thinking this is either for the 12-volt train or something that had this little connector, because you can see it's tapered. This little nub is tapered here on top. So it looks like it locks into something. But again, I never bothered looking it up because I didn't have to, because this was good enough for me. And so I'm thinking maybe it's from the 12-volt train set or the early train set. I'm literally not sure what that little tiny piece on top, what it locks into. But it's also a self-centering steering mechanism. I can tell you right now just by how it interfaces with that piece. Maybe I'll go look it up, make another video about it because I'm interested now. But I made this video to tell my friend that that's exactly what this piece is. This is a steering wheel brick. And if you find the steering wheel pole, you're golden. If you find this piece, you're golden. This piece in and of itself is pretty much useless because you can't connect it that well on the bottom you can, but then you put the wheels on it, right? So you put the wheels on it. So there's the wheels on there, right? And then you'd have to build from the bottom. So it's like you have to build this thing upside down in order to have it connect anything, because it's not connecting on top. Nothing on top to connect to. So anywho, that's a whole video on this piece with some tangents. I think appropriate tangents. But I was excited when he asked, and I do like getting ideas to make videos about that I might know something about. Because again, I'm not Gary. I am not Gary at all, nor do I want to be. I'll leave the Gariness to Gary because he's fantastic at what he does. But I do get enthusiastic about the stuff I do know. And so if people have any, that's what I put on the end of every email I send out. If anyone has any questions or concerns or ideas or suggestions, I'm here for it. I will talk about anything I'm interested in. And this is something I've always been interested in. I think it shows that throughout the entire time of the Lego company, they put effort, genuine effort, into not just settling for, it's okay. They went over and above. I think looking at it now, if people went back in time to the 1960s when they're developing this thing, and somebody said that was, it's good enough without, this self-centering mechanism, and any other company would have been satisfied with that. I look at the other knockoff brands that are satisfied with mediocre. I'm sorry. Like, you can talk to me about how great the other sets are now. They're still riding on the coattails of Lego. Every other company out there is riding on the coattails of the Lego company. They really are. And then they do their cute little thing that makes them, that differentiates them from Lego company. But their fundamental basis is what Lego's already done, and showing them how to do it. But anyway, enough of that. So that's it. That's all. Nice quick video that was on topic for the majority of the part, and under 30 minutes. So I will talk to you guys soon. Hope everybody out there is doing well, and talk to you.